What's going on, Workforce? Brian here.
Chris here.
You haven't seen this face in a while. How you feeling, dude? You feeling better?
I'm much better every day. At work, we have these little small tasks we do from these really big lists of tasks, and I can literally see my marked improvement each day because you can go back and see how many tasks you got through, and it's just steadily increasing. As I just don't get as run down, and I don't need like literally sometimes I was needing like a nap by like 11.
Yeah.
I just was just exhausted.
The other people I've talked to that have had it, like they've kind of run into that same situation, and it affects people so differently. Somebody was like, "I was fine after like a week," and other people were like, "It's been 3 weeks, it's been 4 weeks, and I don't know if I'm gonna."
First
You
two
know,
weeks was consistently bad, and then it was kind of day by day, because what would happen is I'd feel really good one day and I'd kind of overdo it, and then the next day it would just, you'd pay for it.
Well, I'm really glad that you are here on a video because now I can stop answering questions about how is Chris doing in the comments below. So, guys, Chris is back. He's healthy. And we're going to be breaking down and basically giving you all what you need to know about the upcoming patch 5.3. Also
Yes.
answering the question, when's a good time to return, both for this patch and then maybe if you're on a bigger break overall. So there's so much to do and so much to talk about. We'll include a link. This is a great summarization of everything over on Reddit, especially coming off of various interviews that Yoshi P gave. So Chris, why don't you start us off since you're back? I'm gonna put you on the first bullet points here.
So I think first of all, before we jump in,
Mm-hmm.
confirming the timeline. This is August 11th, right? That's the
Yes.
date. So we're recording this in the middle of July. So we've got right around that, little less than a month left. And so that's first and foremost, like, when is this happening? And then keep in mind that, just like for those of us that forget how patches work because it's been a while, some of these things will be behind the half patch. So that will be even further down the line. Because delays have been happening and will continue to affect the release of this game. So they're sourcing this across everything from, Dengeki and different sources, and they've summed this all up for us. And of course, we are going to be getting main scenario. That has been the shining star in Shadowbringers. So I'm glad to get more of it. This will be the conclusion of the 5.3 arc. This will be starting to kind of prep us for ending what will probably be one of the favorite eras of Final Fantasy.
And what is really actually helps me set the right kind of context, because we've been kind of wondering, is 5.3 also the end of the Hydaelyn and Zodiarch, like arc, etc.? And in this case, they do say you want to pay close attention to Elidibus, and that there isn't going to be a conclusion of the Hydaelyn Zodiarch story with this patch itself. And I don't know. Go ahead. Please go ahead.
No, expect a lot, because they said this is the volume of cutscenes and voice for this patch is the largest for a single patch release. This is going to be a lot of single player content, helping fill in all kinds of questions that have built up not only over this expansion, but as far back as Final Fantasy Online history takes us.
They updated the special site, and I posted like a video on it just the other day. What was really interesting is, like, it's been so long. Even if I don't post it, I need to go do a previously on Final Fantasy XIV just to remember what happened, all that happened in 5.0, 5.1, and 5.2, because 5.3 is the second half of the 5.2 patch story. And unfortunately, there's what are we looking at? A 5.5 month gap already? So it's just, I was sitting here looking at the special site and going, oh, brain's not working today.
I know, I'm gonna be like old Chris that doesn't know the story anymore, but just not because I didn't do it this time, guys.
Yeah.
But because there was a 6-month break in which I injected other games. So there will be no resolution to why we have the two strongest primals. So don't expect this to answer every question you have, but this will start pushing us in a direction. So this should start foreshadowing. This should start letting us take guesses, but this is not going to be the end of Final Fantasy story and making way for a new one. There will still be questions at the end of 5.3.
I like that it says we're also going to learn the direction that Garlemald is heading in patch 5.3, and that's kind of the big tease. Like, when we went to the first, it was kind of like we keep dancing around the Empire. Like, all right, we taken back land, and now it's like, okay, boom. Oh, wait, we're just going to go to another dimension rather than address you head on. Well, it wasn't really our choice.
There's more dimensions. We can continue running from them for years.
Yeah.
We could just create expansion after expansion of not addressing it. So moving on to NeiR stuff.
Yes.
It's been phenomenal. I'm not somebody who played NeiR, and I've really enjoyed the content. So somebody who has connections to the content, I hope this has been incredible for those people.
The glamour actually has. I know there's like it has people have asked for butt sliders with the glamour that they've had. It's actually adjusted some of the physicality, so people are like, I finally got the butt that I wanted. Thank you, Square. We got to go run the current Yahora raid. So this is really exciting because, again, like it just has been such a long time. So this is going to go and jump into chapter 2 of that. They said there's going to be more of an emphasis on NeiR elements for this continuation. And starting the second tier, it may cause players to think, aren't we approaching NeiR Automata territory already? And see here, what other things that kind of stand out. They gave no comments on whether or they would be receiving a set in a box or separately. I like the one thing from the original one where it had that like collection mini game, and it was like just this, like you do it, you now have this little extra thing, and I'm like, man, it'd be cool if they went and expanded on it. So we'll have to see if they expand on that there. Is there anything that here that stood out to you that people need to know about?
No, I mean, I think that NeiR has been incredibly fun fights. It's been neat to see how they've tried to tie it into the lore, and then for people that played the game, I'm sure it's neat for them on a whole separate lore level, and then it's good glamour. So like just plan on kind of taking a look. They're not going to reveal any of that as of today. So expect as we start to see that, definitely take a look if you're somebody who likes to glamour things and see if there's something worth going after there.
They said that there's going to be no equipment rewards for everyone that will need to actually roll on this, aka the to be dressed, because we've seen that happen in the raids before. You're actually competing, like there's one item that drops in.
Everybody wants it.
Everybody wants it. All 20 you're rolling gets 24 people, and you know like obviously that increases your incentive.
You got to run
it
every week until you get it.
But it'll be neat to see, because they say no equipment rewards, what other kind of things that they actually tack in there and go from there. So it's gonna, we'll have to play around with that and see how it goes. Let's see here. All right, patch notes 5.3 trial. The secret is not going to be announced, and this is always fun because like this is kind of when we talk about learning the YouTube process. Like, how do you put out the guide without the spoilers?
So we will be putting out a guide for it.
Yeah.
The trial guide from us, for any of you, we will label it whatever they label the instance name. The instance name is always kind of like a hint, but it's not a spoiler. The thumbnail will be probably some form of the art as they have released it during the live letter. So it'll just be a background. It won't be the boss. But that, and we will show the boss within the guide. So don't click on that guide if you don't want to see it, because I personally cannot picture getting anything out of a video boss guide without getting to see the actual boss. It just doesn't make any sense to the way I learn. So that's not the kind of guide I would put out.
This feels also very in step with Stormblood, where 5.3 had that big boss conclusion, and then after a couple of weeks, then it just is like, okay, here's the boss. It's like,
that was Tsukiyomi, right?
Yeah, Tsukiyomi.
Yeah, and that was super sensitive at the time. Super sensitive, and I got that one wrong on when I titled it, and I had to fix it, and I'm really sorry still, guys. I learned my lesson. So as far as speculation on this one, we could see, I would love, I mean, in a dream world, I don't think based on what they said about the story that we'll get it, but I would love to see us take on a primal. But I think it'll more likely be a weapon. Yeah,
because they didn't, not the weapon from like that we were doing with the Chronicles, just FYI, because that Sapphire weapon is going to come next patch, perhaps, or it gets weird, and we'll cover that here in a second. So for speculation on this, like, oh my gosh, like I was, in my mind, the fact that they said Zodiac and Hydaelyn aren't going to be resolved this one, then I'm like,
we can't fight them.
I guess it's true. In my mind, I was like, man, I wonder if...
That's what I'd want. I don't think we'll get it.
Nah. Anyway, so we won't speculate too much further on that one. Unreal Trials and Faux Hollows. This is essentially where they were originally, like what stood out to me out of this list is that they said that originally they were also going to have Titan for this patch, but they said that I think that was a little bit too difficult, or they wanted that people would get frustrated because if you get knocked off in Titan today, you can't come back, as opposed to like in other ones that you get knocked off and it's like, yep, here you go nuts and have fun. You can get resurrected. So it says the mechanics remain the same as they were first released. So I like this. I've always kind of even advocated that
totally optional.
Just make it the same level. Just bring it up to the current and scale the boss upwards. Even with the dungeons, I know that people want more mechanics. I think when we looked at how they did the normal and the hard modes, they always kind of had new mechanics, a new twist on it, which is fine. However, I was like, at the end of the day, just give me the difficulty. So I have all the, like, when I was running a roulette and I got into an old dungeon today, and I was like, man, it'd be so cool if I had my whole kit. If I could run this dungeon at my level and just, you know, be able to continue to practice my rotation and continue to challenge myself rather than like basically tie one hand behind my back and say, all right, I'm doing this for experience, but I'm not actually getting better at my class because I don't have my full toolkit.
As a game that encourages you to play multiple classes, and to add variety, I think where I struggle to want to play multiple classes aggressively at the same time is like, I don't even like tanking and playing Black Mage a lot in the same patch cycle, because in my head, especially if I'm playing any other game at the same time, that's a lot for me to remember, just for me. And I end up making I make a lot of mistakes. I mean, you guys see it because these trials come out on day one, and usually I'm not running instances the week before the patch because I'm taking a break. And so like, my rotations are sloppy in our guides. And so like, I don't need to be adding multiple classes into that. And so when I go run old duties, that's a whole different rotation. For some classes, it's drastically different.
Yeah.
I really like the idea of giving the people more instances to run with the same rotation. How many instances are we at total in this game? Across trials and
hundreds easily.
8 man and below.
At the 8 man and below at the
70
at the 80? end of this expansion, we'll be over 70 dungeons just in dungeons alone.
Just
then
dungeons.
You have the raids. You got boom boom boom. Oh my!
Even if you take the 24 mans out,
I would say 140.
It's a lot. It's a lot. And so yes, I would love them to have new mechanics and stuff, but like also just putting the 140 in our roulette shuffle would be awesome.
Yeah.
So this is a step in that direction.
Yeah, and this is, hopefully we'll see this more. So get ready, guys. We're going to be going against Shiva this time, level 80. And I'm excited. I can't wait to experience this again and have that challenge. And so that's going to be one of the first things I'm actually looking forward to the most. Then we got the Chronicles New Era, the Sorrow of Werlyt. This is the storyline from the Weapon series. And this is where things get a little bit confusing and why we think that it's important for us to continue to remind, especially newer players, like, hey, here's the schedule. This is not a trial. This is a continuation of the story of what's been going on from the Sapphire weapon. And then sometimes this might mean that we don't fight this weapon whatsoever. It just goes on to the next one, or it queues up the next fight, which the trial will drop in patch 5.4. And so if you're expecting to be able to fight the Sapphire weapon, just hold on to that expectation, at least for another couple of months. So just keep that in mind. This will kind of continue that. It's important to do this so that when 5.4 drops, if you are current and you're actively ready to kind of throw yourself against these trials, you're ready to go and have fun with that one.
Now, this marks the end of August 11th content, right? Mm-hmm. So everything we've talked about here, this is what you're getting on August 11th. Now, remember, 5.3 is long. And so the next thing is 3 to 4 weeks later, on whatever Tuesday that falls on, we're going to get 5.31. Mm-hmm. And this will be when they add the next round of Ishgardian Restoration for anybody that's been keeping up on that and trying that. That will reset the ranking period. So there'll be a 10-day sprint for that. And you'll get titles and stuff like that. But it's also just fun to go be there and be around everybody crafting and see everybody. And I think a lot of the crafting gear looks really ridiculous, especially with how fast people are leveling, because they've got pieces from multiple sets. So if you just want to go be around a bunch of ridiculously dressed people all kneeling down around various tables and wheels, that's a neat experience.
And also to see the chat talking, because crafting doesn't require, like within combat, you know, it's harder to go and start typing.
Yeah.
But when you're crafting, it's like, well, I'm just going to queue up maybe this macro. Hey, what's going on, guys? And so you end up getting a lot of camaraderie that really, like, that's when Ishgardian
Eureka was like that.
Yeah, Eureka was very much like that.
Very social.
There was also, when you have kind of that baked-in downtime where it's like, okay, we're going to have to do something. Well, okay, we're going to wait for this thing to spawn. Everybody kind of starts talking, and it ends up being something. I think that's one of the things when we see people remember fondly about older games, but because there was way more downtime baked into those older games.
It sucks at the time because you are just standing around. I mean, you were literally just standing around.
You were playing two games.
If you're, yeah. Actually, at one point, I was leveling up fishing and WoW because it wasn't capped for BFA, and I was doing my Eureka stuff. And when they were both on downtime, I was playing the Pokemon Switch game at the same time. So I had all three running, which also had downtime because it had that automatic battle feature.
Pro gamer right there. It's like, how many games could you play at the same time?
So Eureka was a great time to level up fishing and WoW.
So there's a lot actually here talking about Eureka. I want to kind of dive into it so we can start setting some expectations, because I, for one, personally am very excited for this, but this is scheduled to be released 1.5 months after 5.3. So this is going to be 5.3.5 content, and it's called Save the Queen, the Southern Bozja Frontlines.
Into September.
End of September, right? Maybe early October.
Ish.
This is it's the ish
ballpark.
Exactly.
Especially with COVID. Just
especially
ballpark. Fall.
Sometime this fall. And so as far as it goes, they say the scale of this content is larger than when Eureka first started. And when Eureka first started, basically they said they wanted to include so much more, but for time and for issues, they ended up cutting some of that. You're going to have a separate leveling system called the Resistance rank that you can level them up easily through solo, and there's nothing that forces you to have a party for it. Where in Eureka, like, you really wanted that party, and eventually they kind of like ease back on this. Personally, I think the one mistake, and I'll die on this hill, is that the mistake that they made with Eureka, and I don't know, we'll get into it here, is it isn't also used for leveling content outside of it. Like, if Eureka existed and I could go choose to level my jobs in it instead of the dungeons, instead of Heaven on High, I think I would take that as an option.
You don't work on your relic until level cap. You wish that you could take lower level jobs like you do with like the Ishgardian Restoration.
Exactly. And that would, I think, but that balance, because it is its own progression system, he's using in quotes, meaning it scales you up to a certain level. Your gear really doesn't apply. Like, it operates so on its own different rules that it's like, well, why not just give me just a little bit of experience while I'm also doing this? And that's just the, I guess, efficient gamer in me. Destiny does that very well.
Yeah.
Where I work on 30 quests at once by thinking how I'm grouping things up.
And games like Diablo, more like where you're just continually progressing regardless of what you're doing.
Yeah.
Now the key line here in the way this was summarized, I don't know if this is their line or somebody else, but it says there is nothing that forces you to party. That doesn't mean that people won't optimize. That doesn't mean if there is not a train possibility that the train won't be so much faster that people are just running around clearing the content that way. It just means that they're trying to create more options of how to play, not what the optimal path will be.
They're bringing back the basically the Eureka actions. They're calling them lost actions here. So you're going to be able to get those, and they are only specific to this kind of content. So it's not like you get them here and then you take them into the raids and kind of break the game. And they have the specific goal this time, and it's to destroy the enemy's fort. So I'm looking forward to seeing what that ends up looking like.
Yeah, you'll get to do that by joining both skirmishes and critical engagements. And so the skirmish will end with a battle report, and that'll determine how many rank points you get. And that'll be things that kind of continually trigger. So that'll be your fights. Kind of think like the bosses in Eureka is how that sounds to me.
Man, I'm really looking forward to this content. I just want something to really kind of just sink my teeth into, especially it's I was talking with Larry Czar on the Crystal Core Radio podcast, and we're like, it's so unfortunate that the step that they put in for the Relic, which normally starts off with a big grind, is so more story driven, and you can't have that 2020. It's just 2020. Like, what more time did anybody need to have a bigger grind period than story period that was really short for the Relic than now? Because it wasn't their intention. By now, we would already be working on the next thing.
Yeah, we talked about another post that we'd love to talk about, like what we've been doing with our time, because we have not been grinding a huge amount of 14 during this break. But it is a time that has been hopefully good for everybody to enjoy some games. The skirmishes will function like fates. So, I mean, it's going to be exactly like the bosses in Eureka. I mean, that's exactly what it sounds like to me.
So they say the critical engagement, though, is a new type of event battle that is developed specifically for the Southern Bozja frontline. There are going to be conditions that you actually use to trigger them, and it's mostly about the Garlean Empire launching an assault at you and your frontline allies. This is what I was hoping that Stormblood would have. Some way of, like, we're actually, like, trying to fight and take ground, and it's kind of a weekly give and take, but, we'll have to see how this goes. You can queue for it anywhere within the area that your players are selected, and the players will be selected randomly by the system if the minimum capacity to join the content has been reached.
This will either be really nice because it means you won't have to train to get into it, or it'll be really frustrating because you'll queue and it'll hit some capacity and you won't be chosen.
We're seeing other games do this too.
We'll just have to kind of see how this plays out. I'll go in with an open mind, but we'll just have to see. Now, they have proven, keep in mind, guys, they've proven with Guardian Restoration that they've gotten a lot better about not just giving us their dream scenario and expecting it to work out. They've with Ishgard Restoration, they had a plan A and a plan B. And when they decided that plan A was not what people were having fun with, they switched to that plan B, right? They turned off that ability to go visit other worlds live. I mean, they just flipped a switch. There was no big patch where the game had to go down or anything like that. So I would expect, if this isn't great on day one, still keep an open mind and let's trust that the devs have something in mind to keep this balanced.
Here's where, and again, I don't know if this is translation, and this is where we're going to start like a little bit of speculation, and the hope in me is building. It says once that you're a part of this queue and you get selected, you're going to then be moved into the instance. So is this like instance inception, where this whole new system is its own instance, like Eureka, and then you have a separate sub instance within that, or is this a part more of kind of the open world, technology, and you're actually queuing up for this piece of content? I can't wait to see them actually show this in real life, because my mind is just running rampant with what this could mean.
Incredibly powerful, guys. Like, from a technology standpoint, the ability to just jump servers like you would an instance is amazing. So I'm hoping that whatever tech they've used for this is something that they're going to be able to start using more and more to kind of alleviate like just the flux we have in players. Because what'll happen is the week this goes live, you'll have like 9 million people playing it, and a year from now you'll have none playing it. And so like, how do you adjust for that?
Yeah. So they say regarding objectives, they can range from destroy the large type weapon to defeat the large scale army. So you have a lot of like armies, or you have a lot, and this is just something I'm really looking forward to.
From 24 to 48 players.
Yeah.
It's massive content.
This almost is a little bit kind of like Baldesion Arsenal, where it's like, in that way. So they said they wanted to do more of that, and this is where I think we're going to start getting into that exciting piece of it. There's also going to be bonus content for, oh, sorry, if you want to go and jump in.
Yeah. No, if you score excellent results in a critical engagement, then you can initiate a one-on-one duel with the enemy general. Now, do note that only one will get to participate. So he said, rather than call this one-man savage, this is one-man ultimate. So, like, this is going to be crazy.
Oh,
like,
man.
I can't. Do you remember when we were in the tower and we got that first
Odin.
and we got
Odin
the very
summon.
first Odin summon
Yeah.
in the world that was posted publicly, and like, it just blew our mind. Like, we all prepped for battle and like Leroy Jenkins and click the button, and then what? Like, the first time this goes off and the first time somebody clears it are going to be two incredible moments.
Yeah. If I'm not playing it, man, at that time, if it's not me, man, I'm going to be like, you got to be labeling your stream one-on-one solo. Let's go, or something. Because I want to be
one-on-one ultimate. What a bummer if you get chosen from playing excellent and then you don't clear it.
Well,
You can't practice.
Can't practice. Well,
It's
that's
ultimate.
the thing. Yeah.
You got to prog.
You got to prog, and then you got to hopefully roll that dice and get lucky enough to get that. Man, I am so freaking hyped for this. This is so cool. All right,
Now, other players will be able to cheer from the sidelines. So like, this whole thing is going to be happening live. Now the one-on-one duel, it may be easy for players who are extremely battle oriented. So what I picture is you'll just have to know your class really well.
Yeah.
So if you're already an ultimate raider, this is going to be so easy and probably therefore so frustrating when somebody gets chosen and fails, because you're like, well, I could have done that.
Could have done that. Guy, he stood in the AOE. I watched it happen. Oh man, this is getting my blood boiling, hyped.
Now, this is not what they consider their Baldesion Arsenal equivalent content.
Oh,
this
okay.
is just the step. They think the Baldesion equivalent will be implemented in 5.4. So this is
5.4,
just
man.
the entry. This is just us jumping from single player to multiplayer Relic this time around. The Relic is bolder this expansion than I think has ever been.
5.4 could be this year too. I mean, even with the delays, like we could see 5.4 in December, which for me, I've always like,
Competing with Shadowlands, that'd be exciting, because 5.4 promises to be a really strong patch.
Yeah. Oh man. Oh, is that when they have the Shadowlands release date? I haven't followed it.
We don't have the date.
Okay.
Well, I don't have the date.
It's
I've been
beta
sick.
now.
I haven't been watching. I haven't seen a date.
We were going to do a video, and we might still, about basically me catching Chris up on all the stuff he's missed.
Oh my gosh, I'm so behind.
It's like, why you been sick?
I'm so behind. I've been playing Warhammer, and like the rules were supposed to come out July 28th, and I was so excited. I was like, this is at the end of the month. This will be great. Well, they already leaked, and so like my brothers already know all their rules and they know all the points, and I'm like, I don't know. Processed all this.
All right. What else we got on this? Because there's so much here.
To upgrade your resistance weapons, there's going to be a quest to prepare for it, and you're going to upgrade it purely from going through the quest at the beginning. There's going to be 2 methods to upgrade it after that. You can do it through the story quest above, or you can do the skirmishes. So there's going to be that kind of choices. Now, they have mentioned in past live letters that like one will be optimal. But people's frustration with the relics has been that it's been tied behind this soul path. And so if you don't enjoy that path and you want to do other stuff, you can't get it at that even like lesser rate. So it'll be interesting to kind of see how that shapes out. Will that let us do kind of Atma style stuff, or like how far is that quest line going to go?
Yeah.
So they say how it works. So all they've said so far, and then this kind of sums it up here, is that the necessary items to upgrade your weapon and conditions will be presented to you. You can also obtain these items from outside Southern Bozja. However, when the interviewer asked if the item is obtained something like Atma, he said, "We can't tell you anything for now, but probably something similar."
Hey, honestly, having that as a fate option, being able to kind of mix and match, and because like if you empower the player to say, this is what I'm interested in doing right now, and even if it's not the optimal way, you're still making like, hey, I made 10% progress tonight on this bigger goal by actually playing with my friends and having fun and not having to make that choice. The challenge that comes in, especially when you have your friend, it's like, hey man, I can only get on tonight, and you're like, oh, I was going to work on this, but now, okay, yeah, I do want to go play with my friend, but now I have to choose to sacrifice. If I don't have to sacrifice that anymore, that makes it just so much easier to like, and I think that just leads to a stronger community of people like, man, that was a lot of fun. And then, yes, I'm also kind of ticking off these boxes. Sure, they would have been ticked off faster, but it's also offset by the fact that we actually had fun playing the game together. And that's just that's my take on that.
There won't be any elements in Southern Bozja, just as the last thing.
Okay, all right. We got some crafting gathering related items, things. There will be 8 new umbrellas. Thank you.
We knew the umbrellas were coming.
Yeah. Obtainable through Ishgarding Restoration and Southern Bozja Frontlines. Some of the umbrellas are Eastern Japanese themed too. This is going to be great for a lot of the cosplayers and a lot of the just glamour. Like, yeah,
it's impressive tech.
Oh yeah. Sky School tools will be implemented in patch 5.35. This is the Relic crafting tools. So
getting it initially unlocked, very easy. So if you guys haven't done that, I think we have a guide on the channel on where to find that guy. So go knock that out anytime between now and 5.35. So anytime between now and September, there's really no huge benefit to doing it any sooner than you have to. So you have a big length of time to pick when you have some downtime and you want to go knock that out on a crafter or gatherer or two.
And let's see here. They will also have a new category called fashion items, and the new items attachments will be added to the new umbrellas that are implemented, though currently still at the planning stages. So to get to go, for example, hug a teddy bear while walking. This is meant to be a new system made for role players to enjoy. So I don't understand any of that what was just said, but I'm very curious to see how that goes. And as any tools that they add for the role-playing community, I'm definitely pro for.
Now, for you top-level crafters and gatherers, keep in mind that with 5.3, we are going to get new crafter and gatherer equipments. That'll be a pure eye-level increase. And as of 5.3, the pentamelded equipment will be superior to the current relics until we get that 5.35 jump. So for people who are really optimizing, just keep that in mind.
And then the Beast Tribe quest, the dwarves are being brought in, which people who are in the comments earlier saying, wait, you mean a lot of the fells are beastmen? And essentially just from a lore perspective, especially from the Empire's perspective, they look at even us, everybody, anything that's a lower life form, what they consider a lower life form, as a beast tribe, so
animalistic.
To speak. Animalistic.
Not even worthwhile life.
Right. And that's
incredibly insulting term.
And it's that's what they have to do to justify the mass genocide and murder that they've been doing for the last 20 odd.
They're not killing real
years.
People.
Right.
Less than people.
We're saving them. It's like, I'm doing a good thing.
We don't know any better.
Yeah. And history
ethically.
Anyway, it's just so
dark stuff, guys.
Yeah, deep dark stuff. So that's obviously the patch. I think the story is going to be deep and dark. I think we're going to see more of this descent and this these tough choices, these moral quandaries, and the reasons why all of this have happened over the last 10,000, 12,000 years within the I guess the 14 different shards in the source, or the 13 shards in the source in this regards. Who knows if we're going to see some more World of Darkness? Who knows what we're going to see? But at the end of the day, I'm really excited to see where the story takes us. I think 14 is going to be in for a strong finish to this year alone. Just looking forward to the 11th and kind of getting hands-on, and I'm really excited about what we talked about with the the new Frontline-esque Queen stuff. What's anything stand out to you that you're excited about the most with the next update?
I'm excited just to get back to 14. I've been playing a lot of other stuff. I've enjoyed my time playing other stuff. I haven't been playing WoW. I've been playing MMOs. So I've really just spent a lot of other time. I mean, besides being sick for 3 weeks and now my wife is sick. When I do have time to play, I've enjoyed finding other ways to be social with people, playing Xbox games, playing board games online, things like that.
Played some
so
Age
I'm
of
just
Empires.
excited to have some normalcy, and like 14 is a welcome and missed part of what my normal pre-COVID life was. So I'm just excited to have it back in my life and get back to enjoying 14.
Are you gonna return on the 11th, or are you gonna return sometime before then?
I never let my sub lapse, so I was going to kind of dip in this week and just kind of say hello and just kind of gradually dip my toe in the water, because I never let my sub turn off. If my sub was turned off, I would probably come back sometime in the first week of August, because I'd want to be there for patch day. If I didn't need to be there for patch day, anytime in August would be fine.
If you want to run anything, just let me know. I've been trying to knock out some roulettes. I'm almost 78 on Gunbreaker, and so Gunbreaker is getting close, and then I'm going to shift over to Black Mage. Then I'm going to do Warrior, and then I'm going to let people vote on the last remaining jobs as I try to see how many I can get knocked out before 5-3, and then trying to get them all finished this year. So I can be like, cool. Yeah, that's that. That'll be good.
Yeah, I have a list of jobs that I want to get through before the end of the expansion, but you'll probably beat me to all of them.
We'll see.
But I'm working on it.
Destiny 2 got pushed back to November, so I'm like, woohoo! Oh, I can take a breather, because I was sitting here just like hitting it hard because the planets are going away. So I'm like, I got.
And you're gonna play Cyberpunk too, right? So
yeah, Cyberpunk's in November.
That's a mess. And then Shadowlands is coming out, and you talked about dipping into that because it's gonna have controller support.
Controller
so
support.
Your November's
native.
booked, man.
November.
You better not get 5.4 this year.
5.4 can come in December.
So yeah, and other than that, all the other announcements were just kind of going over everything they've dealt with as kind of Square Enix in COVID. So it did take them offline for a while. They had to develop proprietary VPN stuff. They have a lot of security. It's a very secure site. Mr. Happy's talked about going to visit there and like how it's very secure. Square Enix is an incredibly private place to kind of have the surprises and the wonderful ideas they bring to us. So once they developed their kind of system for that, they are back up to 90 or 95% of their normal working speed. So they're still not at 100%. And they've tried to get back up to pace, but expect delays that will also delay the release of the expansion. But as soon as they get a hold of their schedule, they don't think that it's going to take more than 6 months or a year to kind of get things kind of caught up, and we'll just have to kind of see how far that ripples. As for FanFest, we don't know anything about EU or Japan. We do know that North America was canceled. So I know for BlizzCon and FanFest was canceled. So I know I was bummed about that. You're bummed about that, Brian. Any of you guys that were planning on being out there, even if you weren't going to go to the con, that's a big loss, but it makes sense. And that's about it. The next Ultimate's already under production. And then I've seen some press that it tells me that they don't cover Final Fantasy XIV much, that have said like, we just confirmed that Yoshi P said he's interested in being on the PlayStation 5. And it's like, yeah, like, yes, I expect this game to be on PS5.
Yeah. Welcome welcome back into this random, hey guys, it's a slow news day. Who can we talk to? Here's Yoshi P. Okay. Anyway, that's going to wrap up this video. We got a couple more collabs that we are going to work on, trying to get scheduled out to you guys. If there's a topic or anything you want us to sit down and talk, for any period of time length, we're looking forward to getting Chris back more on the channel. He has been missed. Chris, I'm glad you're feeling better. And anyway, for Work to Game, my name's Brian.
My name's Chris.
We're back. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys have a fantastic day, and we'll see you soon.
Take care.